Coming to you live from
Plains.
on the plain of Amonkhet. This is Tap Tap Concede.
Perfect,
Nice.
it worked.
Smooth. All right, I'm Cameron,
I'm Ben.
and we're here to talk to you about Magic cards. First off, this podcast is brought to you by you, the viewers, over at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. Thank you very much for supporting us here. And also to the good people over at cardkingdom.com. If you go to their website over at cardkingdom.com, but use /LRR, that is our affiliate code, and that will let them know that we sent you. They do great stuff. Their shipping is insane. If you need singles, if you live in the United States, you get sealed product at a very competitive price. Their brick and mortar stores in Seattle are gorgeous. They do really good work. We wouldn't let them sponsor us here if we didn't actually if we didn't actually like them. It is a wholehearted endorsement. So yeah, many thanks to them for setting us up here.
And buttons, don't they?
Yeah, and buttons. Yeah, if you put in your notes field when you place an order with Card Kingdom, Loading Ready Run sent me button, please. They will include one of our buttons, which I believe this month is a reprint of, James, help me out here.
I believe the current button is I Think We're Just Dead Here.
We've
reprinted
the classic.
the OG button.
Yeah, the
great.
original. Yeah, no reserve list with us on buttons.
You wanted that classic piece of collector lure history.
Yeah, so you might want to get rid of your original printings now and get a modern printing with a new frame.
So it won't bring down the price.
Yeah, no.
And be horrible and limited.
We love this game.
Yeah.
All right, it's time for Crack a Pack. Ben, do you want to toss that die?
Absolutely. We're sitting at
2.
I thought I was getting excited for the
All
20.
right, I am curious about this because this is a pack a fan gave us at $2 store MTG packs.
Oh, good.
From Lazarus 18.
I actually used to do this all the time in Edmonton, was buy like the dollar store magic packs.
Yeah.
And, like just see.
Yeah,
on the off
what have been?
chance.
I guess what happens is they buy like bulk cards and then just repackage them.
I think one time I got like a Butcher of the Hordes.
Yeah.
Which was like,
oh, hey, that's
okay,
yeah, that's
I
a playable.
guess. But like nothing that you're
Yeah, so
gonna post on the MTG Reddit or
yeah, exactly.
But if you do, it's certainly going there right away.
Yeah.
I can just tell you right off the bat, I don't think our card recognizers.
Yeah, I was about to say I don't think
My guess is this is just going to be a hodgepodge of cards
like
from
random
all
stuff.
All over
sets,
the place, yeah. Get it? They encased it in carbonate.
Yeah.
Why are these so hard to open?
I don't know.
These aren't designed for children. These
I
are
feel
children's
like you need
playing
scissors
cards.
or something.
I would like scissors. Yes, please, James.
Well, we don't have any.
Oh God. Maybe we can't do this here.
Okay, let's
are our cards trapped forever?
Let's try with
6
a pair.
trading cards, guaranteed 1 rare.
Oh, there you go. We don't know if it's going to be a dirt rare or not.
It's
Yeah.
almost assuredly going to be dirt rare.
I mean, there was that one picture that was circulating of somebody who
Ben's
bought
doing
the Walmart repackages and got an Azusa Lost but Seeking Judge foil.
There we go.
All right. So, check it out. From Pristine, 6 trading cards, guaranteed 1 rare. All right. First up, we've got Slaughterhorn, 2 and a green for a 3/2 from Gatecrash.
It's a good card.
Yeah, it's totally fine.
It's not going to be the first pick, or it might be the first pick depending on our pack.
Well, I remember you had to watch out in Gatecrash for this thing, right?
Yeah.
Like holding up 1 green is not terribly huge signal in the first combat, or in going into combat, right? So
Like, there's a reason they put it in Modern Masters and whatnot, which is designed to be a draft format, right?
Yeah.
This goes right into your beefy green, your Gruul beatdown deck,
Yeah.
essentially. But,
totally fine. Totally fine. Next up, we have a Piranha Marsh from Zendikar.
Aha.
Piranha Marsh enters the battlefield tapped. When Piranha Marsh enters the battlefield, target player loses 1 life.
So desert with color.
Yeah, it's otherwise a swamp after that.
Yeah, I never got to specifically draft Zendikar and whatnot, but I don't know. Like, was this kind of what you wanted? I thought like you really wanted to be like ramping, like
yeah. This was
decently and
not
getting
good
big.
in Zendikar Limited, from what I remember. Like this was up against things like, well, like Teetering Peaks.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is just like
Yeah, which was just like kill you.
yeah.
And the blue equivalent to this was Halimar Depths,
Right.
which was look at the top 3, put them back in any order, which
Right.
was sometimes really handy to have on turn 1, so you knew exactly that you were dead. You were just dead. Like you look at your next 3 draws and you're like, yep, this is over.
Right. So
And
if
you
this
could
land
scoop it up and
cycle-
move to game 2, like
Yeah.
it was an aggro card.
So this land cycle, like this was just like probably the not as amazing one in comparison
Yeah.
to the others. Yeah.
Yeah. Next up, we have an Embermaw Hellion from
Okay.
Magic Origins.
That's our rare.
3 red for a 4/5 with trample.
Right.
If another red source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals that much damage +1 to that permanent or player instead. So this gives +1/+0 to all your creatures virtually.
Yeah.
Makes your burn spells a little better.
Yeah. Like this actually did see play, if I'm correct. It was like a sideboard card during Origin Standard. But yeah, like it's, I don't know if it's pack one, pick one. Maybe in this
Yeah.
pack.
Yeah, maybe this pack, yeah.
It's a tough call.
Yeah, so far between Slaughterhorn and Embermaw Hellion, I'll probably go with the Hellion.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. Firefiend Elemental, also from Origins. For 3 and a red, you get a 3/2 Elemental with haste and Renown 1. I remember this card could get people out of nowhere.
I mean, Renowned was really strong, I think.
Yeah.
Especially if you were running something like Glory Chaser.
Yeah.
On like it's the turn 1 red drop that's just got Renown 1 on a 1/1 kind of a thing, or a 2/1.
Yeah.
I remember, but
Well, like, I remember this could really get someone out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Right? Because, like, suddenly, like, if your opponent goes shields down, like, they get a bit overconfident, you really punish them with this card because, like, they take 3, but then they have this 4/3 body that's also kind of hard to deal with.
yeah, I mean, and especially because was Origins draft just Origins
Yeah.
packs, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if that had like Lightning Bolt or not Lightning Bolt, sorry, Lightning Strike. Or
It had
anything like that.
Fiery Impulse, which
Right,
was,
yeah.
only to creatures,
Yeah.
but it had Spell Mastery.
Yeah, but I mean, if you get that Renown trigger off, then they're not Fiery Impulsing you.
Well, unless they've got Spell Mastery.
Yes, unless it's got Spell Mastery.
Next up, we have Courser's Accord from Return to Ravnica. 4 green-white for a sorcery, put a 3/3 green centaur token onto the battlefield, then populate. So, at worst case, this is 2 3/3s.
I just,
In this pack, it's 2 3/3s.
yeah, like I'm just, this pack is so all over the place
Yeah.
that I just have no idea what, like if you were just, because this comes with what, 6 cards?
Yeah.
So it's like, how many packs would you have to draft to make this like an actual draft for, like if you were
Yeah.
just drafting with these?
Well, you would need, 2.5 packs,
Yeah,
right?
right,
For every player per pack. So weird. And then
Who knows?
our other card is actually a double face card. It is Scorn Villager from Dark Ascension.
I actually really love this card.
Me too. This is the Little Red Riding Hood character.
Yes, yeah.
For 1 and a green, you get a 1/1 with tap to add green to your mana pool, which is a little slow for a mana dork. But at the beginning of your upkeep, if no spells were cast last turn, transform Scorn Villager. She transforms into Moonscarred Werewolf, who is a 2/2 with Vigilance that taps to add 2 green. She is really good at this point. I love mana dorks with Vigilance. There was one in, I think, Alara that was like a 2/2 for, I want to say, green-white with Vigilance that
Yeah.
tapped for green.
Yeah, even actually, because there's been so many in Origins as well, there was...
Yeah.
What was it? It's not Noble Hierarch, but it was similar.
It was Honored Hierarch.
Honored Hierarch,
Yeah.
yeah, thanks. And yeah, it was just like, it didn't have Vigilance, I don't think, until you got Renowned off on it, but then it just kind of got a little
Yeah.
bonkers at that point.
I don't know. I love Vigilant mana dorks because they can fight and then they can tap.
Yeah, a mana dork on a werewolf is so weird to me. Like, I still love this card. It's just that idea that if you're trying to do it on your, if you're trying to like flip them over on your end step, it's like you don't want to be casting any spells, so you don't want to be using it for its like mana dorkness.
Right, yeah.
But I mean, generally, you're hoping, I find, to get like your werewolf triggers on your opponent's turn anyway. So it can go either way.
Well, that was an odd little pack.
Yeah, I mean,
But good news is we have a second one
oh, okay.
because they're I mean, there's only 6 cards in a pack.
Right, so we want to do like a full
Yeah.
pack kind of a thing. So this, it says it's a $2 pack of Magic cards. Right?
Yeah, I think so.
So that we're sitting at $4, and like a standard pack of Magic cards costs about 4 or 5.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we're getting as much value. I guess we're saving $1.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So
Well, I mean, like if you're out, visiting family and there's not a lot to do, and maybe your family has heard that you like the Magic cards and they
Right.
bought you a pack.
right, this is stocking stuffers like grandma
Yeah.
goes to the dollar store and wants to buy
Yeah,
you something.
yeah, like
right?
your slightly clueless relatives who decided to be really, really, really good to you.
Yeah.
All right, so we have, Nav Squad Commandos. I remember
Oh,
these guys.
okay.
3/5 for 4 and a white from Gatecrash with Battalion. Whenever Nav Squad Commandos and at least 2 other creatures attack, Nav Squad Commandos gets +1/+1 till end of turn. Untap it. These were not really where you wanted to be in the Boros stack.
Not for Battalion, I don't
Yeah.
think.
I mean, I guess they were fine, but hard to block.
Yeah. Like, it's got pseudo-vigilance,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool, but yeah, I mean,
I just remember these guys being like, if this was like your 21 or 22 or 23 in the Boros stack, you probably did not. You were not on the winning Boros stack.
yeah, like, I mean, here you want to be on things like Boros Reckoner, and I mean, I guess that's the
Well, yeah, you
but-
wanted just like the wall of 2 drops
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Gatecrash, right? James knows what I'm talking about.
Well, what was a red-white for, like, the...
Oh, the
Hasty.
Wojak Halberdiers?
Yeah.
Yeah, those guys. That was a good card.
That's where you wanted to be.
That was how you 3'd someone. All right. Next up, we have Piranha Marsh again.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
So now we're shocking somebody with lands.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good.
Ooh, wait. Markov Dread Knight. Interesting. 3 black from Shadows over Innistrad. For a Vampire Knight, he is a 3/3 with flying. For 2 and a black, discard a card. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on Markov Dread Knight. I never actually got to play with this guy that much, but
This card was freaking bonkers.
yeah, it seems like the kind of thing that
it
would
was very-
really run away with a game quickly.
It was very good.
Well,
Yeah.
2 1/1 counters too for
Yeah.
a card.
Yeah.
This almost works in the thing that we're going to be talking about today. Actually,
Yeah, actually. Ooh, exciting.
I'm kind of wondering where the cycle for this pack stops though, because now we're into new Innistrad.
Yeah.
If we see something from like Kaladesh, I'll be very surprised.
Yeah, exactly. There's an
How
Amonkhet
recent
card in
are
here.
these? Yeah.
Rabid Bloodsucker, 4 and a black from Magic Origins for a 3/2 vampire. Flying, when Rabid Bloodsucker enters the battlefield, each player loses 2 life. Again, I don't remember the black deck in Origins really liking this guy that much.
So right off the bat, I feel like a 5-drop for a 3/2 flyer is not amazing.
Yeah.
And then it's acting as though the dealing 2 damage to your opponent is like an extra like bonus kind of thing. But you're also losing 2 life, so you're kind of paying for that deal 2 life thing as well.
Yeah.
So you're not really gaining anything massive. I think,
Yeah,
here.
I mean, like, the overcosted black flyers in Limited is really fraught. Sometimes they really get there, and sometimes you're against a blue deck that has just better flyers, or
Yeah.
the green deck that has a 2-power reach creature.
Yeah.
This can't get through Giant Spider.
Yeah, I would be more like I still won't get through Giant Spider, but like I'd feel better about this card if maybe it had if it was a 3/3.
Yeah,
Then I could maybe consider playing it, but
for 5 mana.
It's not good.
Yeah, 5 mana. For a 5 mana flyer, I'm really looking to be in something like a Baneslayer Angel.
Yeah. This is demon category like level right now.
Scorn Villager.
Hey. Okay,
We're
so
halfway
playing
to a
mono green
playset.
ramp.
Yeah.
Do we have anything to ramp into?
Well, we've got Centaur Healer.
Hey, there you go.
Hey, this is a totally decent card that was reprinted in Modern Masters 2017, originally from Return to Ravnica. Centaur Healer is a 3/3 for 1 green-white. It is a Centaur Cleric. When Centaur Healer enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life.
See, this
totally fine.
This is a well-costed card.
This card made some very weak decks hang on for way longer than they should have and win games.
Yeah, especially in like Modern Masters, if you're playing like Bant and get just like a flicker off on it.
Yeah.
It's like, hi, it's like 6 life.
Yeah, that's big game.
Well, these were cards.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're not even like super bad.
No.
I mean, like, yeah, Markov Dread Knight was serious business. I like Scorned Villager a lot. I mean, I don't know if it's good, but it's one of my favorite cards from that set.
Yeah, if you're kind of looking to I think maybe fill like your Shash kind of binder, like maybe getting a couple cards that are, because like I would say most of the cards that we've gotten in a constructed format are cards that sometimes people will use for like your EDH decks or your Highlander decks or any of those kind of ones. So you might not be off base picking this up if you're at your local dollar store.
Yeah. Although if you save up from not buying a couple of these, I am given to understand that you could pick up a Sensei's Divining Top on the cheap now for your EDH decks.
Yeah. I'm
Delivering those legacy burns.
Yeah. I'm quite satisfied with that banning. But
Really?
I think so. But at the same time, I think that there were some other things that they really should have hit. Specifically in Standard, which is what we're actually talking about today.
Yeah. Ben with the solid.
Transition.
Yeah, nice.
I mean, I'd love to talk about ban and reserve list stuff too, but
Ripley of old.
yeah. I mean, so I guess this is how we should start it. We're kind of talking about a deck today.
Yeah.
This one had been on your radar for a little while.
Yeah, and then I saw a couple of posts from like SCG and Haruruya, positing a couple of different builds of this list, and neither of those really kind of like, they were both like, lol, you can throw this list together for and this is like the $10 version of it, and I'm like, I think there's a much better version of this deck in here.
Absolutely.
I think there's actually a quite powerful version of this deck in here, but then again, I'm not good at this game, so who knows?
Yeah,
right?
I mean, this deck popped onto my radar when we were just doing like our own little Amonkhet kind of stuff. And the card that we're talking about with the main, like, our sights are set on it is Drake Haven.
Yeah.
This card it screams build around me.
Yeah.
There is a very similar one, the black card, which I am for some reason forgetting right now, even though it's one of the main ones we're talking about. Hold on, I can do this.
All right, here, I'll cover for you.
Yeah,
Nobody will
yeah.
notice. So Drake Haven, for those of you listening at home, is 2 and a blue for an enchantment. It reads, whenever you cycle or discard a card, you may pay 1 generic mana. If you do, create a 2/2 blue Drake creature token with flying. It's a rare from Amonkhet. And right away, this triggers a lot of your like, sure doesn't do anything on its own impulses, right? But take it from us, this card is better than you think it is.
I mean, I procced this. I got this in my limited pool, and was like, how good is this going to be? And then you also, in this set, have Tormenting Voice and Cycling, and then you go, oh my god, this is actually incredibly easy
And then there have been,
trigger.
in the past couple of sets, there have been a lot of like stealth discard draw cards that we'll also be talking about that go into this list.
Madness.
Yeah, Madness, and a lot of graveyard action cards.
Yeah. So,
I think this is a deck that can have a very dramatic turn 5.
And then the other card that's similar to it that we both were kind of looking at too was Faith of the Devoted. And this card, it's the exact same price, 2 in a black. And this is the black version of it, enchantment. Whenever you cycle or discard a card, you may pay 1. If you do, you drain for 2. And this one is interesting to me because I feel like this one gets you there in the control matchup. and then Drake Haven gets you there in the board statey kind of one.
So like my initial impulse was to do a lot of cute stuff with this deck in like a Grixis shell. And I was initially looking at cards like Haunted Dead from, I think it was from Eldritch Moon.
Yeah.
Which is a 2/2 for like 3 and a black, and when it enters the battlefield you get a 1/1 spirit. And this thing was like difficult to deal with and limited, but it has this other line of text where for 1 and a black, discard 2 cards, return Haunted Dead from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So like you could pitch this guy to like a tormenting voice, and then you activate it and pitch 2 more cards and make 2 more drakes, and then you get a 2/2 and a 1/1. And I was like, I don't think that's good enough. I don't think that's remotely good enough.
Yeah, like this, I'd say in this, when you're playing things like Haunted Dead or like Stitchwing Scab, any of these cards that do this like recursion kind of a thing. I think it's really cool and cute, but you need to have some way to basically pitch them first, because you never want to play them for your cost with the curve that you're kind of working with.
Yeah.
But we've actually got a couple of lists and stuff like that.
Ben has brewed us.
Another one.
Yeah. So take it away.
So I kind of want to preface this one by saying, similar to the last one we did, the Aristocrats list, which you should totally go check out that one if you haven't. Think of this as a primer. There are so many cards in Standard right now. There are 1,000,000,001 lists that you could probably build. This is one that I kind of put together specifically with the current meta in mind. And if you are a Standard player, you have probably run into the 3 main decks that I kind of built this against. First off, the one that everybody is angry at, Mardu Aggro. This one dominates. The card that you really have to watch out for is Heart of Kirin. And then you've got the Saheeli Rai Cat combo. That one is also it. And then finally the Temur Tower. So these are the 3 decks that are really dominating the meta. So it's like if you want to have some sort of chance against them, you could go full in on Drake Haven and just have all these cool discard shenanigans and all that kind of jazz, but you kind of need to set some of that aside and put room in for the cards that you're interested in, like affecting their board state.
Yeah.
So that being said, this is Forgot About Drake. We were trying to think of a better name.
I really like my version,
what was yours again?
You used to pitch me on your end step.
Yeah, I like that one because like
late night when you're cycling.
All right, so let's. I'm gonna start off. We're running the enchantments. We're running 4 of Drake Haven. Obviously, this is the card that we're building around. I elected to not put Faith of the Devoted in this one, mainly because with, like I was saying, the current meta that we've got, you need to be affecting the board state at all times. Draining your opponent for 2, I think, is very helpful, but you kind of want to in the early stages of this game. I think you need those 2/2 flyers because it does actually block a lot of Mardu. You're going to be able to deal with things like Toolcraft Exemplar with Scrap Heap Scrounger, and while they do get more value out of Scrap Heap Scrounger because it's just a bonkers card for aggro, you can still deal with it with your 2/2 Drakes and still kind of laugh and go. Eventually, you're going to exile all your stuff.
And Drakes can double block Heart of Kirin.
Yeah,
right?
I could see if you wanted to putting this maybe in your sideboard or stuff like that against a control matchup, but I don't have it in this list at all. And then we're moving on to some spells here. Instants, I'm running about 17 of them. So we've got 4 copies of Censor. This is the new counter spell that is not mental.
Force spike.
Force spike, yeah.
It's 1 extra force spike, which. But it has cycling for 1 blue.
Exactly. So
when it stops being relevant, or the instant it's not relevant, i.e., they've paid a spell and have 2 mana open, you cycle it.
Yeah, and it's I think it's going to be great specifically against the Mardu aggro and the Saheeli stuff, who are specifically trying to make their every single turn use up all their mana in a very specific way.
Yep.
And actually added little bonus. One thing that Mardu aggro, for example, kind of does out of the blue is they roll Needle Spire. Needle Spire? Is that what it's called? It's the man land that turns into a 2/1 with double strike.
Yeah. Needle Spires, yes.
Yeah, so sometimes they'll try and be keeping that up so that they can turn it into a creature, and censoring and just even making them tap it down sometimes can be a little bit of a freeze effect for you. It's not always the best play, but it's just a little added benefit sometimes. I think censor is very what's the word I'm looking for? Variable, not variable.
High variant.
Yeah, it's variant. Yeah,
Yeah.
it has a lot of variants that you can do.
This is an instant speed draw spell. I think is also quite strong. A lot of the time, Force Spike, coming from an Eternal perspective, just sits in your hand after turn 3 or 4, right, being useless.
And now once you've got the Drake Haven, which is the main staple of the deck, you're effectively, for 2, you're getting a Drake and drawing a card. So it's pretty high value. Moving on, we've got 3 copies of Fiery Temper. This is where Madness comes in, the thing that I was really excited about. Later on, we've got a number of discards things that when you're discarding this and getting to dome somebody or take care of most of the creatures in Mardu aggro or killing a Saheeli, this card is vital, and it might seem like it may not be the spell that you want. You might want to be running Incendiary or Incendiary Flow or something like that. This one is going to get you there a lot of the times. You're going to be discarding all the time. You should never be casting this for more than a red, and it deals with so much in the current meta right now. Moving on. Speaking of things dealing with current meta, Grasp of Darkness, we've got 2 copies of it. The black, I was hesitant in putting it in first, but with the amount of fixing that there is right now, and we'll get into the lands, this card deals with pretty much everything that you're going to be afraid of. Kills Felidar Sovereign.
Kills Heart of Kieran.
Kills Avacyn when she's flashed in.
Ooh, yeah.
Super, super important. I couldn't not put this in, and it's actually my choice over Fatal Push. So for all the Fatal Push fan people out there, there's no Fatal Push in here, and I'm sorry.
Interesting. Okay.
Main reason I'm not running Fatal Push is because we don't really have a way to reliably trigger Revolt.
Right.
And it doesn't have cycling or anything like that, so a lot of the times Fatal Push might turn into a dead card near your end game, and this deck is more mid-range, more petering on late game, where you just they finally run out of things to put down because you've just been answering everything, and then you're swinging in with 8 Drakes.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
So no Fatal Push on this one, but Grasp of Darkness I think is a stellar card. We've got 3 copies of Hieroglyphic Illumination. This is your draw spell, or a draw spell. It's just, you can do whatever.
Yep.
It's
Slices, dices, looks great in foil.
Yeah. There's not much to really say about this. It's a draw spell that you can turn into a different kind of draw spell.
Yeah, there have been a lot of these in the last few sets. There was one of these in Return to Ravnica. There was one in Cons. It's your 4 mana draw 2 instant speed spell.
Yeah.
This one just has cycling.
Yeah. So it's just it'll be the card, and in the early stages, maybe where for some reason you don't have your Drake Haven and whatnot, you kind of need to start digging. It's got that if you already got your Drake Haven or any of the other cards that really benefit from cycling, it does that instead.
Hashtag strictly better.
Yeah. Card that I love so much in this deck, Lightning Axe. 2 copies of Lightning Axe.
Really, only 2?
Only 2 for the main reason because I think that we kind of want to run a couple of you kind of need things like negate and whatnot in this deck, and this would have probably taken I would mold it to your meta. If you see 0 Saheeli Rai kind of decks in your end, maybe run Lightning Axe instead of negate. I put in negate because the planeswalkers are so well. Let's just first we'll talk about Lightning Axe. Lightning Axe, you discard a card, or you can pay 5 depending on where you're at. You're always going to be discarding, and you can deal 5 to a creature. So this is going to deal with Felidar Sovereign. This is going to deal, because it's at instant speed, this is going to kill Heart of Kiran. Really, the major big threats that you're kind of worried about. It's just the bread and butter.
Yeah,
kind of
like
one.
this is a great card in this deck. The only real question is whether you use the Shadows over Innistrad art or the where was this originally printed? Was it Planar Chaos?
Yes, I'm not sure. This was the first time I ever saw Lightning Axe.
Oh,
but I'm not an old player.
Time Spiral.
Time Spiral.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was from the other perspective.
The answer is-
Oddly, it was the axe was fiery then.
Oh, yeah, this one's more spirity, lightning-y.
Yeah.
I think I'm usually a fan of old art, always, so. And then, we just talked about it. We've got 2 copies of Negate. So maybe, adjust it to how you feel.
Yep. Gets Chad, gets Saheeli, gets Heart of Kiran.
Yeah, I think it's just super important. Because this is really, in your main board, the only counterspell you have once Censor starts becoming irrelevant. But by then you can deal with a lot of the threats on board using Fiery Temper, Lightning Axe, and then a couple of the sorceries and other things that we've got going on in here.
Right.
Having negate in here and preventing the Saheeli combo is so important.
Yeah.
It's very, very important.
Well, either you answer it or you die.
Oh, you die. Yeah. So it's unfortunate, and this was one of the things that. When we were talking about the banning from, I'm a little disappointed nothing happened to Standard.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Their response has always been like, we're going to see how the first big tournament plays out, and see if the community is able to generate answers for this.
Yeah, we'll see how Amonkhet deals with it. There might be better answers. It's just. Yeah, it's an oppressive deck.
Maybe by the time this podcast goes live, Mardu Vehicles and Copycat and Teamer Tower are just old news.
Yeah, they might be dead.
Yeah.
But either way, I think Negate's always relevant, especially with the amount of Planeswalkers we've got going on in here. And then we've got 1 copy of Pull from Tomorrow. This one is going to help you in your grindy games.
It is X blue instant, draw X cards, discard a card.
Yeah, so this one, late game, you're probably discarded your hand by now, and now you get to refill and discard something and make a Drake.
Yeah.
It's what's really going to make a lot of these more grindy matchups really turn back in your favor.
Yep. I like this card a lot.
Yep, and even if you're just casting it for 4 and drawing 2, it's still value.
I just want to pop in here for a sec, guys, and apologize for the card images today. We're recording this on Tuesday morning, which apparently happens to be when Gatherer is taken down for maintenance. So I'm kind of scrambling to find the card images here.
You're doing a great job.
James. Being a hero.
Things are fun. So apologies.
Rocket.
Once again, thanks to our friends at Card Kingdom for providing these card images, I'm going to guess.
Yeah, some of them, yep.
Yeah, nice. Perfect. All right, and that's our instance area. 17 of them. Most of our sideboard is actually all instants and sorceries. So giving you the ability to kind of rearrange this deck as you're against to accommodate what you're facing, kind of a thing. We'll talk about it more when we get to the sideboard. Now we're going to the creatures. We're running only 5 creatures in this deck because we're making them. We're making our own. We don't need to put creatures in. The card that Cam and I were just really excited to put in this deck, we got 2 copies of Bedlam Reveler.
Yes.
This card is built for this deck.
Hell yes. 6 red for a 3/4 devil. A devil horror. Bedlam Reveler costs 1 less to cast for each instant sorcery card in your graveyard. Ben, how much were you casting this card for?
2. Every single time you're casting this for red.
Nice.
No problem at all.
It has 2 more lines of text. One of them is prowess, which I'm liking to see. I'm liking that a lot because we're playing a lot of instants and sorceries. And its third line of text, now hold on to your ass. When Bedlam Reveler enters the battlefield, discard your hand, then draw 3 cards. How many drakes can you make off this?
So many. I mean, honestly, by the time you're casting Bedlam Reveler, I would say you'd be on turn 5 or 6, let's say, on an average or like bad, maybe like slightly low end kind of thing, right? You're casting this for 2. You've got 4 mana open. You've got, maybe 2 or 3 cards in your hand. You're making 3 drakes off of this and refilling your hand.
Yeah,
like it's awesome.
Yeah, this is powerful magic. Maybe not powerful magic, but this is good feeling magic.
Yeah, and again, in the off times, where you're running into a situation where you just don't have this was the only card in your hand, you get to draw 3. Like, it refills your hand, it has prowess, which most of our stuff is non-creature spells. Like, we're running 5 creatures in total. So this card is just great, and I would almost consider maybe putting more in. This again is it's gonna get you there, I think, and because of the size of its butt too, is able to get through a lot of stuff actually in standard format, I think, right now. And then the other creatures that we're running, it's a 3 of Curator of Mysteries. This card, again, another one from Amonkhet, built for this kind of deck. 2 blue for a 4/4 with flying. Whenever you cycle or discard a card, scry 1, and it also has cycling as well.
Well, yeah, this will help us dig for our combo. If we haven't found it yet, this will help us dig for answers. It gets us additional value off scry because I can believe that you can stack these triggers.
Yes.
So that you can scry first, then draw, or perhaps not.
Because you're cycling, and I would assume being able to scry, you would be scrying before.
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong.
Because like you're cycling and the trigger happens. So
yeah.
I believe that's how it would go.
Yeah,
pretty sure. I mean, it wouldn't really make sense to draw and then scry 1 after. I feel like Wizards would get us on that. That's the reason I put it in anyway.
Well,
that's what I've been doing when I've been testing.
I have a largely rhetorical question.
Yeah.
Enigma Drake. For 1 red-blue from Amonkhet, you get a star 4 flyer with the ability, its power is equal to the number of instants and sorceries in your graveyard, I believe. Why aren't we running this? And I think I know the answer.
I mean, this one was kind of going in more on the like the making the drakes kind of strategy and just kind of cycling through. I think there is a tremendous argument to run Enigma Drake. I don't think the Curator of Mysteries effect is so strong that there isn't an argument to put Enigma Drake in instead. It also sits in the 3-drop area, which is very, very powerful for this. I think the main reason I did it was because the Curator of Mysteries has a bit more versatility in that it can cycle itself.
Right, yes,
And then it just adds extra value to the main focus of our deck, which is cycling and discarding. That being said, this thing could get out of control in this deck.
Yeah, oh yeah, this quite easily. Well, if you're playing I've just
Cathartic Reunion?
No, the we were just talking about him, the Devil Horror.
Oh, the Bedlam Reveler. There we go.
Bedlam Reveler. If you just played that for 5, this guy's a 5/4.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like
that's pretty good. It still just trades with Heart of Kieran, but I don't think the Mardu Vehicles player is happy about that.
No, not at all. The tough part about this, I will say about this deck, is when you elect to play like we are here and running fewer creatures, you basically kind of run the risk of them holding on to their main big answers. Because 9 times out of 10, like Mardu Vehicles is running a 4 of Fatal Push and a 4 of Unlicensed Disintegration. Fatal Push is going to be killing your drakes. That's just going to happen. There's nothing you can do about it. Unlicensed Disintegration is going to kill your drake. This guy, I think, and it's going to kill your Curator of Mysteries. And there's not much you can do.
And then you also get nugged for 3.
Exactly, because they're always going to have an artifact out.
Yeah.
Hopefully, for them. So yeah, I honestly, I think again, like this is a primer list. You want to build it to your meta, and there's so many cards that you can put in. I think Enigma Drake fits in like super nicely into this too. If you wanted to.
Yeah, I think with Enigma Drake I want a bit more, right? Which is probably unreasonable to expect from an uncommon, but for a constructed card, I think I want more than what Enigma Drake is offering.
Yeah, like Enigma Drake has the ability to just be bonkers and
Right.
and hit you. Whereas like Curator of Mysteries, you always know what you're gonna get, and you can also cycle it if you are having trouble, kind of a thing, as well as getting that extra value from the main focus of your deck.
Yeah,
But
and I know it sounds weird where I'm like, star 4 for 3 isn't good, but I'm all about this 4/4 for 4. Yeah, right?
it's honestly a toss up, but make you remember, tailor it to yourself. That's our creature list. We're running 6 sorceries in here. Obviously, we've got a 4 of Cathartic Reunion. This one is your turn 4 play, in my opinion. You're playing Cathartic Reunion, discarding 2 cards, paying 2 to get 2 drakes, and getting 3 cards.
Seems good.
Yeah. If you feel as though maybe it's a bit too much, you could run Tormenting Voice instead and discard 1 and draw 2. I think this deck has a good enough draw engine and interaction that Cathartic Reunion needs to be in here.
Yeah, maybe it's your turn 5 play and you're also casting Fiery Temper for Madness.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
that also seems like a fine use of this card.
Yeah. I think there's plenty of things. It's just good. It needs to be there. And then my favorite card actually in here, I got 2 of Collective Brutality. This is your escalate with a discard strat, which is so good for this. Only running a 2 of because, shockingly, there are a number of times where I have cast this spell and whiffed on the... So, like, we'll go through the modes here. It's 1 and a black for a sorcery, and you can escalate it by discarding a card. Choose 1 or more. Target opponent reveals his or her hand. You choose an instant or sorcery card from it, and that player discards it. Target player gets -2/-2 until end of turn, or target player loses 2 and you gain 2. I was casting this for the -2 and -2 effect all the time, and then generally using the hand attack, and I whiffed on it a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Again, I was mainly testing this against Mardu aggro, and this one tends to whiff against it, again, because like the really only instants or sorceries are going to be those Fatal Pushes and Unlicensed Disintegration.
Yeah.
But...
like, I think you're feeling pretty good if you're also just draining for 2. Like, discarding a card. Like, I would be hard-pressed to think of the situation where I'd cast Collective Brutality in a deck that gets value off discard and not just going for the drain 2.
Yeah, I mean...
Incidentally.
Yeah, like, and if anything, if you do decide to go with the hand attack, you're getting a Gitaxian Probe for discarding a card, which is what which is what the deck wants to do.
Yeah. I would really look at the drain 2 as just like the extended warranty on this one. You might as well pick it up.
Yeah, and I mean, draining against an aggro deck, never a bad thing.
Yeah.
And then so that's the sorcery. So in total, there's 23 sorceries and instants, which is again another argument to put Enigma Drake in your deck if you really wanted to. And then this was the tech that I thought of at the end that I got so hyped for. We're running 2 copies of Chandra Flamecaller.
Yes.
This was nuts. Every time I resolved, it came out, because I mean the +1 is great for dealing with the planeswalkers you're going to run of, but you are using that 0 all the time. Chandra is red 4 loyalty planeswalker. +1's gain. Put 2 3/1 red elemental creature tokens with haste onto the battlefield. Exile them at the beginning of your next end step. But the one you really care about is for the 0. Discard all cards in your hand and draw that many +1. So being able to discard your Shash, and especially because you're going to be playing this on turn 6, you're probably going to have some Shash in your hand for free, and then just making drakes off of it. It was great.
Yeah. And then, like, Chandra, like, say for whatever reason they've blown away all of your Drake Havens, they've got, they've sided in, our enchantment removal. Chandra just wins the game on her own.
Yep.
Chandra just wins the game on her own.
Yeah, putting those elemental creature tokens is going to go far. The -X If you really need this to be an overcosted Electrify or something like that, then you've got it. She's versatile and just is choice for this deck, I find.
This deck reminds me a lot of a couple of years ago. There was a Waste Not deck that took down a GP. It top 8'd a GP.
I love
and
that card.
everyone, I love Waste Not too. And the person who did it, because it was also a deck based around getting value using enchantment off a mechanic that you were kind of hoping to use anyway. And the player who built it said, secretly, this is not actually a Waste Not deck. This is a Tassiger Grim Angler deck.
Oh,
right?
yeah, like a Delve strat.
Yeah, and Waste Not was just generating additional value off that. And in much the same way, this seems less like a Drake Haven deck and more like a Bedlam Reveler deck.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, I think you're just getting that extra value off of Drake Haven in the sense that you want to fully push out your Bedlam Revelers and stuff like that and then just hurt them. And we've got multiple ways to get into there. But that's the main board. There you go.
Yeah.
That's the deck. Obviously, you could do a lot of tweaking in terms. I guess we should talk about the land, too. That's probably important. Because that's where all your dollars go.
Well, yeah, also, being a Grixis color deck gives you access to 2 cycling lands.
It does, yes. So I'm running 3 copies of Canyon Slough?
Whoa.
Slough?
Canyon Slough.
So it's your Swamp
Slough.
Mountain.
It's Slough, but yeah.
Comes in tapped, but it also has cycling. So this is what you want because early game it'll be great for you. Late game it'll be great for you. It's just good. It's got your fixing. Running 1 copy of Choked Estuary.
Yeah.
I would probably run more, but we're not that black heavy in here.
Yeah, how often are you able to actually get this in untapped?
A number of times actually, because
really?
like things like, for example, the next card, Fetid Pools, which I'm running 3 copies of. It's an island swamp, right? And then you've also got a bunch of. I mean, we could probably just pop through this really quickly. We've got 6 islands, 6 mountains. 4 Spire Bluff Canals, which don't count, but it's just your
that
early
good,
game.
yeah.
And two basic swamps. But the secret tech that your opponent might not see coming, the 1 land that we're running, Greer Reach Sanitarium.
Yes.
This card is awesome.
Yes.
When it comes down to the grind at the end of the game where both of you are top decking, this will win you the game.
Yeah.
You just get ridiculous value off of it.
Unspeakably dank.
And so it's 26 lands, because we're kind of running a bit more control strategy. You could probably make an argument to maybe cut a land and throw in another Bedlam Reveler or something like that if you wanted to.
Yeah, well, the presence of cycling really does kind of make you wonder how low you can go on the land. Because really, you only need 1 blue.
Yeah. Yep.
Right?
It's true. It's the idea though that you want. I would say your perfect mana range is in the 5 or 6 on board. That's all you'll ever need, because you want to be able to be casting the spells that cost a little bit to discard, like Cathartic Reunion and whatnot, while also being able to make your drakes.
Yeah. I mean, you need to get to Chandra. And you need to get, was it Reach Through Tomorrow? No, the draw spell.
Pull from Tomorrow.
Pull from Tomorrow.
Yeah.
You want to get 4 cards off that, right?
Yeah.
But getting to 6 is ideal, but I mean, yeah, there's so many good cards to include.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That standard is so open. But the reason why I think 26 lands is probably fine is because of the cycling on at least 8 of the ones that we're running. You're going to draw, if you draw this and you don't need it, cool, you just made yourself a Drake.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's what's going to happen. And especially too, once you start getting multiple Drake Havens out on the board, you'll be laughing.
Yeah. Well, actually, do we want multiple Drake Havens?
I would say it depends on what you're going through at the time, right?
Right,
if you've got 1 out on the board and you're running and you have 4 mana and you've got other things you should be doing, don't prioritize getting multiple ones. This is not a Fevered Visions deck, for example,
yeah,
right?
They're separate triggers. So
and remember, you're paying for each one, kind of a thing. But that being said, you know, if you've got the mana to do it, do it. I
Right.
mean, cycling a sensor for the 1 blue and then casting it and then paying twice, kind of a thing. You're getting 2/2/2s and drawing a card for 3. So it's obviously because this is kind of a janky control deck.
Right.
You always just got to analyze the situation that you're kind of in.
Yeah, like you can really make your opponents sweat this one because you can just draw past the turn and then on their end step make a bunch of drakes. They swing in, you make a bunch of drakes, or maybe you don't.
Yeah.
I mean, like
because most of the stuff you're doing is on their turn, and I think the trap that a lot of people might see when they look at Drake Haven is I need to play this card and I want to make as many drakes as fast as possible. And that's not necessarily what you need to do.
Yeah.
I would say play this like a control deck. Just kind of keep your stuff up. You know, you don't need to be playing Drake Haven on turn 3.
there's a lot of like board sweepers in this format right now. Like I think like maybe 2 drakes is a lot of drakes. That's reasonable game in the air to threaten.
Yeah. I mean, especially when you've got 4 loyalty is kind of like the prime time area, and dealing with that kind of being able to deal with planeswalkers is a huge deal. Yeah, so that's the main board. Sideboard. There's a couple of the spicy things that you're going to want to board in against. Like I said, we've got our 3 main decks. Artifacts, really big deal. So we got 3 copies of By Force, which is the new Artifact Hate card. I prefer this over Release the Gremlins, despite the fact that it was our card.
Yeah.
I feel like we're supposed to have some love for it, but just having an X red is just easier to cast. Most of the time, you're probably going to cast this for 3.
Right.
And hit like, you know, Scrapheap Scavenger and Scrounger and Heart of Kieran. Or hell, if you want to, you could blow up their clues. It's up
Yeah.
to you.
Yeah,
The world is your oyster.
Yeah, go ham. You know, if you've got the mana open.
But there's, or in the case of Temur Tower, which we've really not talked about, you're killing their Dynabolt towers, which is their whole strategy pretty much. So yeah, 3 copies of that. If you're looking for what you should probably get rid of in its place, I would say you could probably board out like maybe the Grasps of Darkness or something like that if they're more artifact creature based, or you could probably, you know, maybe get rid of Fiery Tempers. It's either or kind of a thing. I got 2 copies of Disallow. This is the anti-Saheeli Rai card.
Yep.
This needs to be in here. So when you're going up against Cat combo, I recommend probably taking out 2 of your sensors and putting this in instead. If you are kind of unsure of what's going on, then maybe you could take out the negates and put this in instead, because this is kind of more an all-around thing. But just remember that, for example, the Saheeli Rai combo revolves around Saheeli Rai.
Yeah.
So if you make her never able to do anything, they're pretty much hosed. They kind of go all in on that. 2 copies of Dispel. This is your anti-control card. Maybe if you're facing a mirror, but I think Dispel if you're running into, and actually Fevered Vision's Burn is still kind of a thing. Dynabolt Tower, the Temur Tower, most of their stuff is going to be instant speed stuff. So this is going to deal with things like Harnessed Lightning and Glimmer of Genius,
Right.
which are integral to that strategy, getting the energy. So yeah, Dispel is very important here. And then the card that I think it's going to be like dope. I got 3 copies of Harsh Mentor. This card, there's so many things that can do. The main thing I'm really excited for is this is vehicle hate on a stick. Every time they cruise something, they're taking 2. And it also, if anything, it's a bear on the board for that early game kind of stuff if you're really worried about what's going on. But yeah, literally anything that has a colon on the card is you're shocking them every time they do something with it. So it doesn't do much against the Saheeli Rai combo, unfortunately. I wish that had a Planeswalker text on it.
Yeah.
But that being said, remember too that you can, if they're accruing their Heart of Kieran using a loyalty counter from Gideon and this thing's on the field, now you're hitting them for 3. Like you're dealing 3 loyalty damage to a Gideon.
Right.
So it's important, I think, and I think this card's going to do really, really well. There's a reason that it's already $10, and the set just came out.
I mean, yeah, like, how much is this deck running?
So currently, looking at TCG, you're looking at about $150 in
That's
total.
not bad.
It's not bad.
A lot of that's in mana, right?
Yeah, most of that is in mana. The 2 big dick cards is Harsh Mentor is $10 each. And then Collective Brutality is also $10.
Really? What's Chandra down to these days?
Chandra's like $3.
Really?
Chandra's super cheap.
Wow, I remember back when she was like 30.
Yeah, I mean, she was integral to a lot of strategies, and I think it's just she became, in comparison to a lot of the other planeswalkers, too high costed. But she works great with this deck, so I think that's fine. And I mean, she's going to rotate out soonish.
Right.
But yeah. And then we've got 3 copies of Incendiary Flow. This one, I can take or leave. This is an adjustable spot. I was kind of between Incendiary Flow or Magma Spray. Magma Spray is instant and it costs 1 and it's a shock to creatures. But it exiles them, and that is so useful against Scrap Heap Scrounger, which is a pain in this deck's ass. But Incendiary Flow deals 3, and it still exiles, and 3, and it can go to creature or player. It's at sorcery speed, which is so I would say tailored to you. I don't know. This one was the one that I was kind of on. I kind of threw it in because I was like, oh god, Saheeli. But yeah, like consider this too just a anti-Saheeli card if you want. And then 2 copies of Pull from Tomorrow in case we're getting into those in case we're getting into the really gross, long, grindy control matchups.
Right.
This one will see you through till the end, I think. And again, like cards like this, like Pull from Tomorrow and Cathartic Reunion, are gas for Bedlam Reveler. Because you're going to throw this instant in there, probably throwing maybe another instant or something like that, or a land in there, but either way, you're gassing up for some really good stuff. And yeah, that's the deck.
All right. I'm really excited to sleeve this one up.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And remember, like there are so many things that you can really do with this. You could put Enigma Drakes in there. You could run this even more as like a Fevered Vision style deck if you wanted to.
Right.
The options are endless. The standard format is so big right now, and all these cards are going to stay relevant until like Q4 is when things start rotating out. So you've got plenty of time to do this. You can bring this to game day and probably keep it for the next long while. But yeah.
Well, all right. Thank you very much for joining us here. Once again, this podcast is brought to you by you, the viewers, over at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun, where your very generous support helps us to pay for all kinds of our content, but specifically Tap Tap Concede, where we generate these dank brews, and by the kind people over at cardkingdom.com. If you go over to cardkingdom.com/LRR, that enters our affiliate code for you. That will let them know that we sent you. And yeah, if you are considering building this deck, consider ordering the singles you do not already have through Card Kingdom. And in your order field, please consider putting Loading Ready Run Sent Me button, please, and that will instruct them to send you one of our buttons, which will read, I think we're just dead here. Which is hopefully not strictly relevant for
this deck, but hey.
I mean, hey.
Yeah. And yeah, we'll post the deck list in the description below, so you don't have to like go back and write down everything as it goes through. Or anything like that.
Yeah, we've got a tapped out link for you. All right, so thank you very much. We will see you next week here on Tap Tap Concede, and until then, we don't have a sign off for this show, really, do we?
Draw well.
Draw well, draw hot.
Bye, guys.